Welcome back to Rise and Tell with Sheekha. I am Sheekha Singh, your host and author. I have got something special to share. My brand new book, Unburnable Ambition: How Overachievers Win Without Burning Out. This book is for all of us who dream big but refuse to let burnout be the price. Head to shikhasingh.com/unburnable ambition and sign up today. Now let's dive into today's episode. Today we have an amazing guest with us, Téa Phillips. Téa is the founder of this company called Metaflex. She has a degree in mechanical engineering and she went on to be the founder of the Metaflex glove because she found a problem on arthritis and she actually wanted to solve it. During this episode, we had so much fun discussing about her challenges, burnout, her journey from an engineer to a founder. She's now selling Metaflex across the US with her company ATS Innovations Inc. So let's go ahead and get started. So there you go, everybody. Today we have with us Téa Phillips. Welcome to our show, Téa. Very happy to have you on our show.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So we'll just dive right in, Téa. I am excited to know about your story. How did you become a founder of this amazing tool?
When I was studying mechanical engineering at Tennessee Tech University, I met two of my co-founders, and we had this idea for the Metaflex glove. Well, they had actually done some work before they had met me and just researched arthritis and found how big of a problem it was, interviewed people, found that people can't afford to go to the doctor, and when they do, they get prescribed strengthening and compression, but people aren't doing their strengthening exercise. So we knew we needed to make a glove that does strengthening and compression. And when we started working on it, when I met them and they told me they were making this thing and they needed help making this thing, I immediately drew it out and I'm like, okay, here's what we're doing. And then we started interviewing more people. And when I talked to people in my life, I realized like this was something that really affected my grandmother. She had really bad arthritis and was starting to lose her mobility. And so I talked to her. She had tried gloves. She didn't like them. They only did one thing, which was like pain management, but they weren't like really helping her to, regain her independence. And she was struggling at night with her hands closing up. And all signs pointed to this is important and this is something that I have to do. So I couldn't let it go. And I did graduate the same year. We were really inventing this and patenting it and working on it. I graduated college with my mechanical engineering degree from Tennessee Tech University, and I didn't have any money to like start a company. We had won a few pitch competitions, but like need a lot of money to bring a medical device to market. So I had a really good job offer to be an engineer at a place in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And I took that and I worked there for 3 years and I saved up as much as I could. And then my grandma started getting worse and I felt guilty for like not having put more into bringing this to life. And so I quit my job and I decided I was going to go full in on this thing. And my other co-founders just fell off. They didn't want to do what I was doing. Entrepreneurship is difficult. But I had this like really personal reason to make this a real thing. So I couldn't let go of it.
Wow, that is so inspiring. This is
Thank you.
exactly what our podcast is all about. People who've gone from nothing to something. And I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you that you stuck to that dream of yours and whatever that was driving you. I think a lot of people, I feel like the minute they join the corporate culture and the money starts coming in, that's when the dream starts slipping because you're in this comfort zone now and you're like, I don't know if I really want to do that. So I want to ask you, Téa, what inspired you other than your grandma and everything that was going on to actually quit your job? When was the day that you decided, okay, I'm actually going to quit my job now and focus on this full time?
So the corporate world has ups and downs. You make money, you have security. I was working for a Department of Energy contractor, and people get in that job and they never leave because it's really secure. You get in there and you stay in there forever. But I was getting frustrated. Like, I wanted to make more money. I was like, I'm making a lot of money, but I'm also like a high achiever, and a lot of people around me were high achievers too. So it's not like I was the only awesome person there. But I was watching other awesome people
Mm-hmm.
get passed over for promotions because of political reasons. Like, and I mean, it's all about who you know when you get in those corporate environments. It's this person did something bad and they should be fired, but we really, really like him. So, like, let's give him another chance. And then they get demoted into a promotion that someone else has been working and should have and, like, would do a better job with. So, I was really frustrated with the culture of the company. And even before I was at that company, I was at another company and it was a Department of Defense contractor. And I mean, I've been an engineer for the government for a long time, and it's really cool and really interesting work, but the culture sucks. I mean, one of the guys that was in charge over there was just like unkind. And I wanted to build my own culture and I wanted my earning to not be limited. Like being a business owner, I can grow this as big as I want it to be,
Right.
and we're shooting for the moon. And so I felt like I had this opportunity to work somewhere where I can control the culture and I can make it like positive and uplifting, and I can make sure people get paid how they need and can take time off when they need. And I just took the opportunity and it's been fantastic. I mean, it hasn't all been good. It's
Right.
bad and it's difficult and it's really, really hard. And this is the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. But I'm to the point where I have been working through the mud for long enough that like I'm seeing the sun, and it's like the mud is starting to like
Nice.
solidify, and like I'm walking and I'm not like having to pull so hard to get to that next step. So we're in a season of goodness, absolutely, right now.
Awesome. That is so amazing. This makes me so happy. You know what? When I got my bachelor's degree in computer science, and this was like years ago, I'm talking 2009 to 2013, we had a mechanical engineering department, and the ratio of girls to guys was awful. It
Yeah,
was so bad. There would be one girl in a class of 40 guys. It
that's the
was
ratio when I went too. Yeah.
okay. Wow. So seeing you achieve so much and starting this and creating this great business, I think it's really inspiring. And you are being a great role model for anybody who's even thinking of getting into mechanical engineering or STEM, any department in STEM. I think that's really awesome because most of the times we focus on just one thing because it's easy and it's, yeah, people have done that before. So go do it. You'll know what it is and it's the easy path to walk on. But I think you've done something completely different, unheard of, that I haven't seen any mechanical engineer, a woman mechanical engineer, to be honest, because I do have friends who've gotten their degree in mechanical engineering, but they're now, and electrical engineering also, but they've shifted and they've pivoted to computer science and coding and IT.
I love
And
that too. It's what I want to study next.
yeah. Okay, Taya, so tell me, what was your biggest, utmost difficult hurdle that you had to cross in this journey, going from an engineer to a business leader and this
There's so
developer of
many.
the product?
I can't like there's not like one. I guess the one big thing is like being an entrepreneur, a founder, starting something new and like being at the helm of it is you're constantly like improving yourself. I'm
Right.
like, oh, I'm not good at that and now I need to get good at it or I'm gonna fail. And I've learned so many lessons like loving myself and like trusting my gut and sales. I don't like sales. I am so bad at names. I'm very good at numbers. I know it. I see a number. I got
Right.
that. That's locked in there. Names, very bad at names. If you're bad at names, you're not good at relationship management. I
Right.
also, there's like the weird antisocial nerdy engineer, not good at sales. So it's hiring those people, trying to figure out how to hire for things that you're not good at. I can hire for things that I'm good at because I know this person needs to do this. It's like they need to have these skills. So like when I'm hiring people for operations, like I know operations. I've got operations on lock. I understand how everything needs to be set up. Hiring salespeople, hiring marketers, I have failed so many times. Luckily, I failed enough that I've gotten some good marketers and I've got one good salesperson, but I need more. It's just It's learning about yourself and improving yourself, which
Right.
is at times tiring, but also at times really invigorating. And I love a challenge and I love to learn. The biggest thing outside of that was fundraising. When you talk about raising money for a business, like it's insanely difficult and it's necessary for my business because I'm a medical device. So I have to pay FDA fees every year. I have a patent. I have multiple patents. I have to buy inventory and resell it. I've got employees now. Like I had to raise money. I started when I quit my job, I had $40,000 and I was like, that's all I need. I can get it going. Like I can buy my first bit of inventory.
Right.
I'm the only employee. Like nobody needs to get paid. I got a nice runway. Then I'm going to get a loan. Then I'm going to get investment. And I did get all of those things, but it took way longer than I thought it would. And when you look at the venture capital landscape in the world, not just in the US, but also in the UK, like across everywhere, venture capital is the people that invest money into companies at like high scales, like millions of dollars into companies. 2% of the money they invest goes to women. Less than, it's actually like 1.8. It's less than 2% of the money they invest goes to women.
Wow.
And this is a huge problem. And I talked to some people that are like, we just need more female founders. And that's how I know they are not an ally. Like, that is not my guy. That is not my friend. That guy's pushing the blame off on like, women just aren't doing these things. That's why they're
Yeah.
not getting any money. That's a lie. Women are doing these things everywhere. I have so many female founder friends and they're killing it. Women's companies perform better on average. Like we make more revenue. We lead with different styles. And that's just
Right.
because of how women and men have been raised differently in America. Like women have been raised to be more compassionate and empathetic. Not that like men can't learn that, but like right off the bat, we're running our companies differently. We're
Right.
focused on like making sure everybody's having a good time and not like squeezing for everything that we can get.
Right.
So I have really good relationships with my manufacturers, with everybody that's making product, everyone who's selling product. Yeah, so my company's doing really, really well. And it's been doing really well for a long time. And it still took me a long time to raise money and to find people that actually bet on me. And now that I have that community, I've got that community. But
Right.
it took way too long to get it. And most of my investors are men. We need more women writing checks, but we also need more women with money. Up
Right.
until like the 70s in the US, women couldn't own their own bank account. They couldn't get business loans. Like we've been systematically oppressed and we're rising from the ashes like a phoenix. It's really incredible. All of the women founders I know, both like at my age and that have done this way before me, like
Right.
we're resilient. We're doing really, really good work, and I'm just proud to be among them. But fundraising was has been the biggest hurdle. And the only reason I got money is because I did not give up. Just didn't give up.
That's awesome. I cannot even imagine what you had to go through that system to even get all of that and then come out the other side as the successful founder of this amazing concept and the glove. That's great. Téa, I'm really excited to know what your thoughts are because you mentioned in the beginning that you're an overachiever and you met a lot of people who were also overachievers and it's kind of evident based on everything that you've explained so far and everything that you've done. So I want to ask you, did you experience burnout or are you experiencing it right now? And if yes, what are you doing about it?
This is such a good question. I've only recently figured it out. The first time I got burnt out was when I was in college. I was studying mechanical engineering. I was in like my senior, I'm like working and doing school and trying to develop Metaflex. So at Tennessee Tech, we have this awesome program called EagleWorks, and it's like Shark Tank. You
Okay.
go and you pitch your idea, and we won EagleWorks. We won first place. We won the biggest social impact award, and it's because we worked really, really, really hard.
Right.
So I was working really, really, really hard, just constantly high on adrenaline, just like working, 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 next thing, next thing, next thing. And then after we won the competition, the next day I had this thing to do. I couldn't get out of bed to do it. I was like the president of this healthcare thing, like innovation in healthcare. It's where I met my co-founders. It's this club and they bring together engineers and nursing majors and like we had this whole thing that we were doing, and I couldn't get out of bed. And I was like, y'all, I'm not going to make it. And I couldn't get out of bed for like several days, and it took a long time. And if you study like the neuroscience of it, it is like when your brain is pumping like that much adrenaline, that much like what was it, serotonin or dopamine? It's been so long since I studied it that I don't remember, but you experience bad crashes. And so that's where burnout comes from. And luckily, I experienced it early, so I knew the signs. And as I've been building this company and it's been difficult and like life has been difficult and like I couldn't get funded and I had to move in with my parents and like I applied for full-time jobs and then somebody said that they'd invest in me and I was like, okay, no, it was insane. It was the most difficult thing that I've ever done. And I was like constantly teetering on the edge of burnout. Like things were falling through the cracks. I'm not doing what I need to do. Like I'm doing it, but like I could be doing it better. Like I could be building these systems better. Like, but I was just like so burnt out. Recently, I have discovered creativity, and I swear, like I was taking walks in the park, I would go and I would hike and it would help kind of, but what I found to turn off the logic side of my brain and get myself to actually like rest that piece of me, because even when I'm doing walks, like I'm thinking about the company. Like I'm trying to enjoy the trees, but I'm thinking about the company. The only time that I've been able to turn off the logic side of my brain is if I'm creating something. So I bought a blank notebook,
Yes.
blank paper notebook and crayons, and then I started coloring. And I would just like sit in my room for like 2 hours and like color. And I'd color pictures of my cat and they're bad. And I'd color pictures of myself and they're ugly. But I'm just like coloring and it's turning off the logic side of your brain. So I read this book called The Artist's Way, and I'm only 2 chapters in. Like I haven't read the whole book. But the idea is it's supposed to help you like reach back into that creative state and get in your flow state and turn off the logic side and like just like be an artist.
Yeah.
And the idea at the beginning that she describes is that we're all artists. When you're a child, you're creating, you're putting things together, you're exploring, you're creating, and then you learn 2 + 2 = 4 and cause and effect, and you start to learn logic. But everyone has this creative side to them. And the creative side is, I don't want to say the opposite of the logic side, but it kind of is. So to not get burnt out means you need to turn off that logic side and you need to focus on the creative side. So she explores in her book ways to like be more creative and like lean into it. And the two things that I've learned in my first 2 chapters are the morning pages, which I'm not so good at because I'm always running late, and that's a thing that I have to fix about myself that I've know it's always just like, getting better. But you write 3 pages in the morning and you don't let anyone read it and it's just for you and you're not like planning, you're just like in your flow state. And I have solved problems in that flow state because I'm like, I wonder why, da 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 da, or I don't know what to write. Today's sunny. I think I should get a jacket. You're just writing. And the second thing is called the artist date, wherein for 2 hours a week by yourself with no one else, you do something that's like makes your inner artist, your inner child happy. So I bought crayons and a notebook and I've been coloring with crayons. And you can do pottery or you're making something and you're all by yourself is the thing of it. And I found that I feel better since I've been doing that. I feel freer. I feel like things are easier, like I'm more positive because I'm able to turn off that logic part of my brain for just a little while and let it rest and do something else.
I agree. And I want to touch on the creative part of it because that's funny that you mentioned it. And I've been listening to that quite some time now. But before that, I want to tell you the reason why I asked you about burnout is actually because the next book that I'm writing or the next book that'll be published is on burnout for overachievers. So you're like right there. And I'm an overachiever myself and I faced that problem, which is why I'm like, isn't there why aren't enough people talking about this? Because there's this expectations that you set for yourself, but also the expectations that people around you have about you or for you. And in trying to meet those expectations all the time, you just forget that you're putting your body through so much that at some point
Are.
it's definitely going to give up. And now you're like, okay, I love doing this, but I don't have the energy to do it. I want to run my company in your case, but you're like spread so thin. So that's the whole reason why I asked that question. And coming to the creativity point of it, I love that because a few months ago I interviewed this guest. She is the founder of art as therapy in Canada.
Ooh.
Yeah, and she is also an art therapist herself. So she says that in adults, children, it's very easy. You tell them to start drawing a circle, they'll draw a circle, and whatever they're feeling, they'll put it in a painting, even if it's bad, because children don't judge. But she says, as adults, we forget to play, and we forget to get that childlike attitude in us because we're so involved with everything else that we're doing. So the first thing that she asks her clients to do when they come to her office is, if they come for therapy, she says, okay, draw what you're feeling right now. And even if someone sucks at drawing or painting, she says, start by drawing a line or a circle. So she had this whole thing about creativity, and that helped me because I actually started doing that. I started coloring too, and it's so peaceful. I used to find that joy in reading, but coloring is something else together. And yes, things go outside the line sometimes, but I'm okay with it. And I think that works. That definitely works. So I'm so glad you brought that up, Téa. And it's so wonderful to know that people like you who are founders, and you have so much on your plate, juggling so many things each day, every hour, that you are still finding time. So this is a message for all the listeners and viewers out there, that no matter how busy you are, you have to take out time from your schedule for yourself,
You
just to
have
do.
to.
Yeah. And it's so important, because then if you don't do that, you are not going to enjoy the things that you love doing the most, even if it's hanging out with your family, going on a walk, or reading a book. So I'm glad you brought that up, Téa. That's
Thank
wonderful
you.
to know that. I want to touch on a different part of your personality now. You went from being a student at a university to a founder. Usually, I have seen that entrepreneurship is just forced on you when you have an idea, but you're an engineer. So how did that happen? How did you manage that? How did you train yourself, or what did you do in order to transition from being just an engineer with a great idea and a product to being a founder and handling the business side of things?
Yeah, thank you. I think I've never known what I wanted to do. So, and I think that's good for me. Like that's very helpful for me because I can just like go with the flow and,
Yeah.
figure things out and do things I like to do. So I never knew what I wanted to do. Even when I went to college, I decided to do engineering because I originally wanted to do acting. And then I turned 17 and I was like, I don't want to go to LA. That's scary. There's scary people there. I'm like a cute young girl. I don't want to go there. And so I like was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I'm good at math. I'm good at problem solving. I'm good at puzzles. And I was looking up, I had a friend going for engineering and I looked at what an engineer is and I found mechanical engineering and I was like, that's so cool. Like you can do, it's really versatile. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I knew with mechanical engineering, you make things that move. So I could make anything. So rockets and robots and like all of these really, really interesting things. I was like, I can learn to do that. And so I went for mechanical engineering. I developed Metaflex. I worked at Y12 for a little while. And as I was an engineer, I liked it. Like I thought it was interesting, but I didn't want to be an engineer forever. And I didn't want to be in like management at some company. It's just like too rigid. The schedule is predictable. And I don't think I liked that the schedule was predictable. It's like get up, go to work, come home, then I can do this for a few hours and then I got to go back to work in the morning. And I've always loved traveling. So being an entrepreneur is just like really freeing for me. It felt like being an engineer was really, really interesting until I learned all of the things that I thought were interesting. Like I learned theories and I learned to build processes and I learned how people ran companies. So one of the things I studied before I even knew that I wanted to be, because I never knew what I wanted to be. So when I got my first engineering co-op, which was I took 6 months off of school and I worked as an engineer, and that just helped me to, bolster my resume so that when I graduated school, I had work experience. So I've always been thinking like 20,000 steps ahead, like I'm really planning it out. And when I got in there, like I learned, I had some downtime and I started studying like the organizational structure. I went through the whole website and I'm like, okay, what are they doing? Like, how does a company work? Who's in charge of this person, to this person, to this person? Like, I learned the layout of it. And I've just always been studying. And when my grandma was getting worse, I just always knew I could do it. I knew I could do it. I was running teams when I was at Y12 already. I was there for like 3 years and I had founded teams and like started to optimize things that like weren't, they were in my job description, but I was going above and beyond over and over all the time. I learned to write code when I was there because I was finding things to do and learning new things. And then I felt that that job was limiting for me and that being a founder would be a lot more freeing. And I think that's what I've been chasing is just freedom. And my job is pretty freeing right now. And as I continue to build the company, the goal of the founder of the company is to get out of working in the company and start working on the company. So it's like every level I hit, there's a new challenge, there's a new thing to overcome. So it's really interesting to me, and I'm really grateful to be able to do this kind of work. So right now, I'm working on building the team so that I can just set the vision. I can say, what if we did it like this and this and this? And they can say, awesome, or they can say, no, we actually know that you should do it like this. And I'll be like, cool, y'all run with that. I'm gonna go and like make some deals or like, whatever, the next thing. So it's been the perfect fit for me. Just like continuously learning, always doing something different. I'm getting to travel a lot and I still get to invent. So we're making new versions and I'm inventing them. And I'm, just asking people and pulling things together and I'm visiting the manufacturer and picking out new fabrics and like hiring the people who can make my dreams come to life. And it's the most magical and wonderful job in the entire world. And I am very, very grateful to be doing what I'm doing.
That is so cool. I love it. First of all, I'm so happy for you. This
Thank
is
you.
inspiring and truly I feel like more people should start doing this. Like start, like you said, even before you go, I love the fact how you say you're like 50 steps ahead and you're always planning and you're always thinking about the future. I feel like that's so important and not many people do that. Yes, they have a goal, but okay, what if you got that? What if you achieved it? How are you going to handle it? They don't think about that. And that's what you are doing. So I absolutely admire that personality and that side of yours, Taya. I think that's very helpful. And everyone, each one of us should start thinking about if I want to be, whatever, like the CEO of a company, what am I doing today that's going to help me once I become the CEO?
Yup.
Right?
Yup.
Everyone just says, "Oh yeah, I want to be that. I want to do that." Okay, but what are you doing now? What are you going to do after you get that? How are you going to handle it? And I love it. I love how, you've always known what you wanted or kind of envisioned that you are going to face this. You When you become a founder, you're going to have to figure out these things and you were planning for it. So that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us, Taya. Before we end the session, I want to ask you, is there anything that you would want to suggest to our listeners and viewers on your journey or productivity or burnout or any of the things that you feel that people should know about this?
I would just say always be learning. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of books, and some of them I don't finish because they're boring. I start them and I'm like, okay, got it. Like, not so cool. But some of them are really, really cool. And so I've been learning from people who have done not exactly what I'm doing because nobody is, but, building companies before, or people who are great leaders or people like I started reading a book last night called The Empathy Dilemma, and it's because I am running my company based on like trying to do by good by people, and I want to figure out what pitfalls I might face, doing that. So it's always learning, keep moving forward. I watch a lot of inspirational movies and I read inspirational books and I'm learning. And I'm also reading fantasy because sometimes you just need to let your brain take a break,
Yes.
and doing art. So I just want everyone to invest in themselves and believe in themselves, because if it is humanly possible and you are a human, then you can get it done. And you might need some help. I mean, we all need help. You're not going to be able to do it by yourself. So try to surround yourself by people who care about you and want what's best for you, because a lot of people want things from you, but when you can find people who really want to invest in your dreams and help you, that's where you really thrive. And obviously go to metaflexglove.com, METAFLEX glove.com. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, and I'm trying to post more. I also have a public Instagram page, Téa Phillips, or it's Téa.s.Phillips, TEA, and you can follow me on Instagram. And if you want me to talk about anything on there, I absolutely can.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, congratulations, Téa. And it was a pleasure to have you on our show. Thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedule. I absolutely enjoyed talking to you. And thank you again for being on our show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I hope you had a lot of fun knowing Téa and her journey, and I hope this was inspirational. If you know anyone who would benefit from this episode, do me a favor and share this episode with them. Thank you for tuning in for today's episode of Rise and Tell with Sheekha. My book, Unburnable Ambition, is all about how to chase your biggest goals without losing yourself to burnout. You can now sign up at shikasing.com/unburnable ambition. Until next time, keep growing, keep glowing, and be yourself, and keep your ambition unburnable. Thank you.